The answer for number 1 by graphing is 4 comma 8. If you just put in y equals 8 and negative 2x plus 4y equals 24. Like if you went through and solved this, got the y-intercept, and you got the slope and everything, we did the graphing, just like you just did on your test, that would be the answer. All right? Now the question is, can we get that without the graph? So we're going to go back and really revisit what we've already done. We've done the inequalities, we've done this graphing, but how do you get these answers without graphing? Because more importantly, what happens when these numbers start being really big? What if they're in the thousands? Hundreds of thousands, right? You can't on your paper make a graph that goes up to 100,000 something, especially if it has decimals and fractions. So we have some other methods that will work without a graph, so you can always get the answer no matter what. Is there a problem? So let's go over to here. Let me show you how to solve this, but without the graph. But just know, we are solving the same problem that we always have been solving. Not a different problem, that's why it looks very similar. Now at first we're just going to start off with on the front side, it's just going to be like y equals 8, very, one number. But then when we go over to the back, it's going to be like y equals negative 3x, which has a slope of negative 3 over 1 with a y-intercept of 0. Tomorrow it's going to be something like y equals negative 3x plus 3, and we'll be doing some bigger problems. But for today, with just the first day of this, we're going to keep it simple. Okay, just keep it very basic so we get the general idea of how to do all these. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Just going to go through a few of these. I'm going to go through 2. Have you guys try 2, and we're just going to go through this basically together and finish it by the end of the period, everybody. So make sure you keep up on writing everything down. But you might get the hang of it real fast, and if so, just go ahead and work on your own if you think you can do it faster without me. Just recall that we are solving a problem that could be graphed, so our answer is still going to look like this. So your answers for all these problems is a coordinate that if you did graph them, here's where they intersect. Okay? So we're solving the same problem we have been, and don't lose sight of that because we're not going to have any graphs, but we could graph them if we wanted. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take whatever we have y equals to, we're going to plug that in or substitute it in for y inside the other equation. So I can rewrite this as negative 2x plus 4, and then we know from above the y equals 8. So I'm going to substitute in y equals 8. And then you just have the equation you need to solve. So we have 4 times 8 is 32. And you can probably figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the problem. All these steps you already know. So most of this is going to be just a review. What is 24 minus 32? Negative. Yeah, so it'll be a negative. And then divide by negative 2. So x equals positive 4. Negative positive. So I know my x is 4. And all these, we already have the y. Y is equal to 8. So there's the answer, the same answer we got from before. Right? 4 comma 8, but we're able to do it without the graph. And that's what the goal of all these problems are, is to do it without the graph. And of course, you can have all reals, you can have no solutions, you can have all the normal things that come along with graphing. So not on this assignment, but later on, you'll start seeing those as well. So let's practice one more, then I'll let you guys try. So we have y equals 4. Okay. So I'm going to plug in for the y in this equation. I'm going to plug in 4. We have negative 7. And we got to solve. times 4. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Again, you might be able to do this on your own faster than it is just to watch me, because you know these steps very well. If that's the case, just go ahead and check with the board, see if it's the same after you finish. There we go. X equals -2. So I know if I graph these, they'd intersect at -2, comma 4. Let's have you guys try 2 and 4. Very similar. Start by figuring out what you're going to plug in. And make sure you write your answer as a coordinate. Make sure your final answer is going to be whatever x equals and whatever y equals in the form of a coordinate. Okay, so let me go through them. We got negative 4x minus 7 equals -7. Add 7 to both sides. Got negative 4x times what equals 0. 7 minus 7 is 0. So we get x equals 0. So we got 0 for x. Remember, y is equal to 7. So we got 0, 7. And number 4, we'll have negative 5x minus 7 times 8. It's negative 16. Multiply it out. We're going to add 56 both sides. Now, if you don't like some of these negative numbers, if they're getting confused, watch this. If you're not sure about negative 16 plus 56, you're not sure what to do, you can always reverse it and just do what's 56 minus 16. It's the same thing, right? So the order doesn't matter when you're adding and subtracting. I'll maybe make it easier for you. So we get x equals -8. So don't forget to write your answer, -8, comma, +8. Okay. Alright. Good. How many got those? How many's got those both right? Got them both right? Do we need to do more on this side, or are we good? Okay. Alright, go ahead and work on the rest of the front, and I'll do a few on the back in a little while. Let's take a look at the back. Again, I'll do 2 of them, and then have you guys try 2, check it out, and then we'll finish it up. Alright, so the steps are going to be very much the same, but you notice that we have it equal to a variable with a variable now. We have a slope, y equals 8x, which is just a 8/1 slope. Right? So we're going to do the same thing, though. We're going to take this y, which is equal to 8x, and we're going to plug it in for this y. So these two y's are the same thing. We can plug them in. So we'll have -8x minus 2 times 8x equals the 17. -2 times 8 -16. And think of this as a -1. We have -1 minus 16. -1 -16 makes -17. And we can divide both sides by -17. Get -1. Now, this is not the final answer. This is just the x. Yes. We don't know what y is technically right here. Our y not just 8, it's 8 times this number, which we just found out to be -1.
So it's -8.
So we have to plug in 8 times -1, and our y is going to be -8. And that's the main difference on these, is that on the front, we already had one of the answers. We already had the y answer for all of them. You just had to figure out x's. But most of the time, it's going to be like this, where once you get one answer, you still have to do a little more work and figure out what the other one is.
Yes.
So one more time.
Yes.
Let's try this one. So we're going to take this y and plug it in here. And this one you're going to have to be careful. So watch this. X minus -3x. So what do you think the common mistake is right there? Yeah, so there's a negative here, but there's also a negative on the y. So we actually have two, a minus and a negative. You got to have both there. So we're going to have x plus 3x. So as usual, the more work you show, the more accurate your work will probably be. 6x plus 3x is 9x. And then we can divide both sides by 9 and get x equals 2. So I know that my x, right, x comma y, I know my x is 2, but my y is going to be -3 times 2. So the y is -6. So this second part, this last part, that's what's different from the front side. Have to figure out what y is. It's not given to you straight up. All right, go ahead and try, let's see here, 12 and 14. Go ahead and try 12 and 14. I'll come around and check. Also check with someone next to you. Make sure you wrote your answers as a coordinate, just like this. Okay?